Happy Tuesday and welcome to Dream Leap Live TV. I am Adama Hamadi, your career clarity coach and lifestyle design specialist. Today I want to talk about a lesson that has been occurring and reoccurring to me a lot over the last few weeks. I believe that I am no longer available for learning things the hard way. I am making myself open to learning lessons with grace and ease rather than with a brick upside my head, because there was a time when I used to have to learn things that way, and I'm no longer available for that. So I'm choosing to pay attention to the signs. I'm choosing to pay attention to shit as it pops up for me. And something that continues to pop up to me, or pop up for me rather, is this idea of surrender. And I'm realizing that I had surrender all wrong. I caused myself a lot of stress, making surrender more complicated, more painful than it needed to be. And so I just want to talk through what has been coming up for me and how I'm making sense of it. I want to give a little bit of context. So a few years ago, a friend of mine used to talk all the time about how she was practicing Christian submission and surrender to her man, to her partner. And I remember having a super visceral reaction to that term. I remember being very turned off by what I thought submission and surrender meant at the time. I remember being very just like, girl, what do you mean? Like, what is that about? Like, are you okay? What's happening with that? And in a number of different situations, I found myself fighting against the idea of surrender because I feel like the person I've worked so hard to create, the life that I've worked so hard to design and to build, required intentionality, required power, required strength, required me to show up in an unyielding way. And I used to believe that I couldn't afford to surrender. I used to believe that I couldn't afford to just like submit to the powers that be. And so I felt really uncomfortable with anyone throwing around that term for me. And I think that as time goes on, and particularly over the last few months, while making sense of this pandemic and isolation and quarantine and social distancing, surrender to the process is a message that I keep getting over and over and over again. Surrender to the process. Surrender to the process. So I decided to just like look up the definition of surrender. And what I saw was the action of ceasing resistance and submitting to authority. The action of ceasing resistance and submitting to authority. Now, it's interesting that I think half of that definition I'd already been thinking about. Submitting to authority felt weird because I'm not interested in deferring to anyone else's authority, right? I'm the ultimate authority of my life. But that first part is something I'd never thought about. The idea of ceasing resistance. I specialize in mindset management. I literally teach my clients how to stop talking themselves out of getting and enjoying what they want. And a lot of that is overcoming their own inner resistance to the goals that they've set. A lot of self-sabotage and resistance comes not from other people, but from self-induced pressure. Comes not from what's going on outside of you, but the stories that you replay internally over and over and over again. I know that our life is a reflection of our internal narrative. And so if our internal narrative is that it's unsafe for us to have what we want, then we will resist working toward what we want, because we can't let ourselves have something we don't think it's safe to have. We won't let ourselves move in the direction of something that feels dangerous or not allowed. And so when I think of the term surrender, realizing that the definition is to cease resistance and submit to authority, what if surrender is not about giving up, but like, what if surrender doesn't mean giving up? What if surrender isn't a concession or an admission of weakness, but a choice to let things be easy and good? What if surrender is not about deciding that you don't have a say, but deciding that things get to be even better than you thought they could be? If we're willing to submit to the authority of whatever is even higher than us, if we are willing to submit and surrender to the process and trust the process, what if that gets to be our new normal? What if shit gets to be good because we don't have to be the only one deciding what's going to happen? Oh, yay! I'm so glad you love this perspective. It's something that's difficult. I think I've worked so hard to let it be okay for me to decide how my life looks and feels. But there's a very thin line between being the ultimate authority on how you show up and being the only person to take on everything that comes up for you. And it just feels better for me to trust the process. It feels better for me to trust that as long as I ask for guidance, as long as I trust that there is power in my petition, as long as I take advantage of the resources to make my life easier, that I get to kind of delegate to other powers around me, to include God, to include universe, to include friends, to include my community, right? And it's not because I think I'm weak, but it's because I allow myself to work on my strengths, do what works for me, and allow other people to do what works for them. So I've been thinking about this so much. Yes. Delegating something. Absolutely. I think I had to set the intention to understand surrender better. Because as long as I believe that surrender means giving up who I am, because I value freedom as a core value, as long as I believe that surrender means giving up who I am, as opposed to letting who I am be enough and trusting other people to take on other shit, I'm not going to allow myself to surrender. What if surrender is just letting shit be easy because you are co-creating with a higher power and delegating all the shit that's not yours to take on? I can get behind that shit because I'm all about protecting energy. I'm all about preserving mental real estate. I'm all about minimizing decision fatigue and focusing on what matters to me and letting everything else fall to the wayside. That's a big piece of surrender as well. Surrendering what doesn't actually matter so that I can focus on my priorities. Surrendering the need to take on everything so that I get to enjoy what actually matters to me. This shit is so important. Because I learned a long time ago that needing to control everything is exactly what makes me feel out of control. Surrender requires trust. Trust requires faith. And faith requires a willingness to detach from how things look so they can become even better than you could have imagined. But that requires holding a vision for something and then doing your part and trusting whatever else is going on around you to do its part. That is a really big piece. It's something that has taken a very long time and something I still wrestle with sometimes. But I don't get to micromanage my manifestation. My job is to be crystal clear on what I want. My job is to be crystal clear on why that matters to me. My job is to take inspired action. All that other shit, I have to be willing to let go because that's not my job. It's not for me to take care of. And needing to have my hands in all things was exactly what had me feeling scattered and all over the place. But if I'm willing to hand something over to someone that is better equipped, if I'm willing to delegate or outsource or just allow things to be taken care of by people that are better at the things I can't do, I have to allow myself to have the gaps filled in. I have to allow the gaps to be filled in for me and trust that that's okay and trust that I have permission. So, what was I saying? I just think that surrender gets a really bad rap. Surrender gets a really bad rap because we feel like you can't surrender and be powerful. But I think there's an even higher power, or I think it's an incredible level of personal power to know what you have control over and let go of everything else. That requires power and confidence and trust. So I think a question that you can ask yourself if you are struggling with surrender, if you, like myself, felt really, really stuck around how am I going to make this work, or how are things going to look? Like, how are all these steps going to work together? It's important to keep in mind. Thank you, honey. If you believed that you were worthy of ease and joy, if you believed that you didn't need to fight or force anything, if you believe that you didn't need to struggle in order to earn your most delicious life, how would you proceed? Because whatever action you want to take based on that is the action you get to take. And surrender is going to look like letting that action be enough and then trusting that everything else is going to fill in the gaps. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you. If you chose to know and believe that you were fully supported and that you were always being guided, if you chose to know and believe that doing what you need to do is going to be all that needs to happen for other people to do things around you and fill in the gaps, what would you do next? That's where inspired action comes from. That's what inspired action looks like. That's why inspired action works. Because you do what feeds and fuels you, and you trust other people to take care of the rest. Superwoman syndrome, much like burnout, only happens when you're living like you have something to prove. And if you give up the need to prove, if you give up the need to justify, if you give up the need to over-explain your existence and your experience, shit gets to be much easier for you. Life gets to work in your favor. So, I think another thing that was holding me back from this idea of surrender, and I'm only thinking about this because it's a lesson that's come up over and over and over again as a recovering control freak, as someone who felt the need to know exactly how things were going to flesh out before she took any steps. This was very much my journey and my path, and this is something that I'm working through, which is why mindset management is so important. We off that all 2020. Yes. I am not available for burnout. I'm not available for depletion. I'm not available for energy drains, right? That's a decision that I made. But after I make that decision, I lock it in by being willing to surrender the shit that's not mine to take on. That's another key to burnout prevention. You decide what you want, you decide what you're going to focus on, and you allow everything else to be taken care of. You trust that everything else will be taken care of. But what I was going to say is surrender isn't about doing nothing. It's not about giving up and doing nothing. It's about doing only what's yours to do and giving other people permission to do what's theirs to do. This is about you getting clear on what your strengths are, getting clear on your responsibilities, the things that you are uniquely suited to do, getting clear on how you want to spend your life, what you want your life to be about, and then allowing other people to support you. I like to sprinkle my life with let it be easy. Let it be easy. Let it be good. Let it be fun. Shit. I'm simply not available for the struggle and the suffering and all the extra shit when I know what else I have access to. I'm not available for doing the most just to say I did it. And I know a lot of women fall into that trap. They want to be seen as doing a lot. They want to be busy. They want people to think that they are getting it all done. I have no attachment to getting it all done because I know I couldn't anyway. I'm not attached to getting it all done. I'm attached to doing all the things that I want to do. Was literally just explaining this to my dad. LOL. Ooh. Tell me more, girl. What were you talking about with your dad? Booked and busy. And I know that that's a thing. It comes up a lot. Booked and busy is a beautiful thing if you're busy on the shit you want to be doing. Right? Are you booked and profitable? Are you busy on the shit that matters to you? Are you actually moving the needle? Or do you just have a full calendar? Because it's important, if you are really purpose-driven, if you are really purpose-driven, if you are focused on making a real change in the world and owning that you are an asset to everything you're involved in and that your mere presence and energy is a value add, then you can't afford to just be doing all things to say you're doing all things, right? You have to know what a truly valuable use of your time and energy is. If you're out here making things happen, then you have to own that your time, your mind, and your energy are truly valuable and irreplaceable resources. You have to own that they matter, and you don't get to just scatter them because people have made requests. You have to understand the difference between what's urgent and what's important. You have to understand what is really for you, just you, and what could easily be passed on to anybody else. He said you have to suffer to relax when you get older. I said you need to take the word suffer. Yeah, mommy, that's so important. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is an option. I'm no longer available for suffering. I have zero interest in trying to prove my worth to the world by suffering. I used to try and prove myself. I used to try and prove that I deserved a relationship by suffering with emotionally unavailable people. That it's just, I'm not available for that anymore, right? I used to prove that I deserved the position I was in at work by getting there first and leaving last. I'm done with that. I used to try to prove that I was a good friend. I used to try to prove that I was everyone's rock and 3 a.m. friend by making myself available when I should not have been available, right? This was all me suffering and struggling and fighting because I prided myself on being the person that could figure it out, on being the person that could overcome. I was just talking to a client yesterday about how if you pride yourself on being the woman that easily overcomes, you will continue to attract things that you need to overcome. And it's really, really difficult. It's really, really difficult to produce anything of real value if you're fighting to prove that you're valuable. Stop trying to prove that you're valuable and you can actually provide real value. Stop fighting to prove how resilient you are and instead start focusing on being resourceful, right? Ooh, I'm seeing whoa and hand. Come on. Tell me what's landing for you. Tell me what's coming up for you because I'm just saying a lot right now. What do you mean? Tell them what, girl? I don't even know where I was. I had notes here, but I feel like these notes don't even matter because so much is coming up for me. But yeah, I was just talking to a client about how easy it is to build a reputation. Yes, how easy it is to build a reputation as someone who can easily overcome, who can do it all, who is super strong, who is superwoman, right? When you build a brand and reputation as superwoman, people don't know that you need help or support. People don't think to offer you the same resources that you give because they don't know you need that, right? And when you get off on being needed, you attract needy people. When you get off on being strong, you keep attracting situations that are going to force you to prove your strength. I'm no longer available for proving my strength. I know what I am. I know what I bring to the table. I know my value add. I know my qualities. Like, come on. I'm still on. Are you booked and fulfilled? Or are you just saying your calendar is full? Yes. If you are booked and you love every single appointment, then God bless you and keep it moving. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But I always get a little bit nervous when I talk to people that are booked and busy and miserable. We have to remember we are here to be stewards of our time, not slaves to our schedules, right? We have to be responsible stewards of what we already have. And we have to recognize the difference between urgent and important. Just because it's calling out to you, making lots of noise, does not mean that it deserves your energy. I built a relationship on being a superwoman, and when I needed help, I was like, girl, yes. I will never forget, I had someone say to me, oh, you don't really have real problems. I didn't realize until she said this to me. She never thought to ask me. Our relationship was very one-sided. Our phone calls were very one-sided. It never occurred to her to ask me what was going on because I was always a space holder. She assumed I had it. She assumed everything was fine because I never volunteered that I was in pain, trying to make myself available to feel her pain. And it hurt me because I felt like, how could you not know? Or if we're in a friendship, shouldn't this be reciprocal? Shouldn't this be two-sided? But of course not. I had trained her to come to me. I had trained her that I was going to be available at all times. And we teach people how to treat us, so I had to set a new standard. Of course, when I set that new standard, she didn't like it. She didn't respond well to it. And we have to be willing to let go of people who are not willing to recalibrate when we set a new standard in our relationships. When we set new boundaries, we have to be willing to trust that just because someone gets mad at us saying no doesn't mean we shouldn't have said no. And just because someone doesn't like that we're asking for something new doesn't mean we don't deserve to ask for something new. And if someone is not able to meet or comply with an expectation that we set, perhaps they're just the wrong person. But it doesn't mean that we asked for the wrong thing. We have to give ourselves permission to show up differently. We have to be willing to see ourselves in the world differently. We have to be willing to let go of things that don't serve us. And surrender looks like deciding that you are worth what you desire, declaring that things will rearrange to make that work for you, and being willing to let go of anything that doesn't match that. Let me see. I'm staying up late, burning the midnight oil on everything but my goal. Listen, I am so tired of hearing that. That happens so often. Storyteller B, that happens so often. We give so much energy and attention to everyone else and then say we don't have time. I don't have time is never really what's going on. It's never about not having time. It's about not having clear priorities. It's about not giving yourself permission to make your needs important. It's about not thinking that you are allowed to go after what you want. But what if you decided that you were worthy of that same love, affection, grace, compassion, energy, and space that you so freely give to everybody else? What if you decided that you were worth a reciprocal relationship? What if you decided that your energy was worth protecting, that your mind and your peace were worth protecting? And mommy, you said, just because it's making noise doesn't mean it's important. Listen, it is no accident that one of my favorite functions is do not disturb on my phone. Airplane mode is a gift. Do not disturb is a gift. Turning my phone to silent, I don't even like hearing the ringtones for real. I know we're so easily distracted. And I feel like the work that I'm here to do in the world deserves my full presence and attention. Excellence, I said this before, excellence does not require exhaustion. It requires intentionality. If I want to be truly excellent, if I want to be doing the work that I'm here to do and supporting the people that I'm here to serve, I cannot be distracted by something as silly as buzzes on my phone. Which is why I like to only check my email twice a day. Which is why I like to set up my notifications so they're not just popping off crazy. I'm human, so I'm going to notice when shit is buzzing. But just because I notice it doesn't mean that I need to give into it. And it's on me to determine what actually deserves my attention. And it's on me to make requests and appointments audition to get onto my calendar. It's an old phrase. My grandma would say, yes. Oh, burning the midnight oil, yes. Yeah, burning the midnight oil is definitely an older term. I don't know where I was. I have no idea where I was. I'm just looking through these notes and something's going to come through me. What was I looking for? I can't find what I was going to say. Feel free to drop in any questions that are coming up for you, but I'm looking through these notes. Yeah, I gave surrender a really bad rep because I thought surrender was a sign of weakness. And really, surrender is a willingness to own your influence and to leverage your leadership and to be just careful and discerning about where you put your time and energy, but also trusting the process the whole time. So if I'm surrendering, take your time. I know that's right. If I'm surrendering to my purpose, then that means I am overcoming and eliminating any resistance to me doing what I'm here to do. It means I'm deferring to the ultimate authority that is clarity on who I am and what I'm here for. And it means just letting go of anything that's getting in the way of that. Right? It's about removing any doubts, any fears, any sense of limitation. It's about making it easy for you to enjoy the journey. Surrender is not giving up. It is letting up so you can let shit be easy. Letting up on your own inner critic. Letting up on the pressure that is self-induced, right? It's letting shit be easy. We've done enough suffering. We've done enough struggling and strife. We deserve to thrive unapologetically. We deserve to enjoy the journey. We deserve to ride the wave. We deserve to have good things happen to us. Like, I'm really over this whole narrative of if it wasn't hard fought, if I didn't work really, really hard, then I didn't earn it and I don't deserve it. That is going to keep us broke. That is going to keep us stuck. That is going to keep us burnt the fuck out. And we deserve better. Truly, we deserve better. So when I surrender, I am opening myself up to greater and better. I am acknowledging and declaring that I deserve my most delicious life, and I am letting that come together however it needs to come together. I'm allowing things to rearrange themselves. I'm allowing for unexpected plot twists working in my favor. I am staying open to miracles. I am playing with possibilities, and I am detaching from how that shit comes together. I'm more committed to the big vision than to the bulleted list of how this needs to come together. That's not my business. It's not my job. My job is asking for guidance. My job is continuing to do the inner work to manage my mind, manage my expectations of myself, manage my inner critic, manage my time, manage my energy, right? That is my work. Tell me about this exclamation mark, mommy. Oh, and another thing that I wanted to talk about as far as like why surrender was so difficult for me. As I said, I am a recovering control freak. I'm very type A. I'm very much like, I like to have things a certain way. I like to know exactly how it's just going to go. I like to have everything organized and prepared, right? But control freak and being controlling, it's not a personality type, it's a trauma response. And we need to be very careful. The need to control everything, it is not a personality type, it is a trauma response, and it's a blessing blocker. Your need to know exactly how everything is going to happen is getting in the way of things being good for you. It's getting in the way of things working out. Not going to stress, everything you were saying was on point. Not going to stress to make money or be... That part. Like, if it works for you to stress your way into success, then you can have that. But I'm simply not available for being stressed out. I've tasted that. I've tried it. It almost killed me. I'd rather not. I want to try something else. Right? I'm ready to try something else. We believe that the only way for us to get success, to get what we want, is by suffering our way through it. And that simply is, it's just not fun. If you didn't enjoy any of the process on the way there, what makes you think you're going to enjoy the destination? What makes you think you're going to enjoy the destination? You're so sure that it has to suck the whole time. But if that cannot be proven in court, then it's not, facts, right? If it's not a universal law, if that's not the only truth every single time, that means there are other things possible for you. And why would I settle for what's logical when I can explore what's possible? Why would I settle for what everyone else thinks it has to be when I can break cycles and break patterns and create something even better than anyone around me has ever seen? Right? Mommy, tell me about the another one. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the heart showers. I very much appreciate that. I feel like my phone is working very, very slowly, so I'm not sure at what point these comments are coming in. But when you said another one, tell me about that. Yeah, we have to be willing to look at surrender differently. Surrender is just shortening your learning curve. How about that? Surrender is shortening your learning curve by giving up all the assumptions and stories you have about why you can't have what you want. Surrender is letting shit be easy. Surrender is allowing yourself to get what you want without burning yourself out. How about that? Wanting to control everything is stopping you from enjoying things. Absolutely. You're so attached to how things have to happen for you that you block really great opportunities. If I think that I can only bring in money from one program, I'm ignoring the fact that I get DMs every day asking for different opportunities. If I tell myself I can only make money from one 90-day program, then I am leaving money on the table for when the people reach out and say, you know what, I'm not ready for a 90-day program, but I would love to do your online training series. Or when people say, you know what, I don't know if I have the self-motivation to do a training series or a training bundle, but I would love to do a 90-minute intensive with you, right? I'm willing to stay open to other ways of getting what I want. If my end goal is a certain financial goal, I need to be willing to surrender how I get there, but just hold the vision of what I really want most. If what I really want most is just meet my goal, then I'm open to how I meet my goal. But if what I want most is to control everything, I'm already screwed. I don't get to control everything. But I can ride the wheels or ride till the wheels fall off of what I can control and let everything else go. There's a reason that these people on the let go and let God train are happy and free. There's a reason those people are free. Those people focus only on what they need to focus on and trust that God has the rest. There's a level of freedom in that. You know what you can do. You do everything you know to do, and you let everything else be taken care of. You let God fill in the gaps. You let the people around you fill in the gaps, and you let that be enough. There is real freedom there, and there's real power there. Because you're not in the back and forth. You're not trying to fight reality. You're not forcing yourself to do things that are not for you. Right? There's power in that. So if you are not allowing yourself to surrender because you think that means giving up, I want you to give up what you think you know about surrender. There are only two things that are required in order to really enjoy your most delicious life. A willingness to see things differently and a willingness to have hard conversations. And sometimes you need to have those hard conversations with yourself, with your wounded inner child, with your past, so that you can grow into the version of yourself that you'd like to be. And if you are willing to let go of what you think you know about how you need to get a certain place or who you need to be or how things have to be, then you are free and open and miracles follow you. Now, this has been on my mind for a while. Surrender has been very, very difficult for me. Because I like getting things done my way. I like things working my way. But who says my way is the only way? And Lord knows my way is not the best way always. I want us to give up the struggle. I say all the time, the struggle is optional. It's time to opt out. It's time to stop making shit harder than it needs to be. It's time to overcome and eliminate all the resistance to having what we want. It's time to allow ourselves to enjoy our most delicious life without all the suffering and the struggle and the sacrifice and the fight and the forcing. Flow over force. Power over pressure. We are not available for making shit difficult. There's so much other trash in this world. There's so much riffraff and ridiculousness in this world. Why not accept ease and invite ease and embrace ease whenever we can? Don't we deserve that? Haven't you earned that by this point? So, that's what I have. That is what has been on my mind. Hey, Imani, that's what's been on my mind. That's what's top of mind for me. And, my mind has been in so many different places around this, but I know that's been a common theme that's been coming up. Surrender doesn't have to be as difficult as we think it is. The willingness to surrender, the willingness to surrender your understanding of how life has to be, the willingness to surrender to a higher power, the willingness to surrender to the possibility that things get to be even better than your brain could have imagined, all that is going to make your life easier. What questions do you have for me? Let me make sure I didn't miss any comments on here. No question. You are an amazing vessel. I love how spirit moves me on the right days to check out your... Oh, thank you, honey bun. Thank you, Imani. I really appreciate that. How do you stay motivated after turning down an opportunity? How do you stay motivated after turning down an opportunity? You trust that you always get what you want or better. You trust that your success is inevitable. And you trust that if this opportunity was not the one for you, something even better and more in alignment is coming, right? Motivation is something that I believe is going to come to you naturally when you are on track. When you are on the right path for you, when you are in alignment with what you want most, the motivation will be there. When you are focused on the things that are going to take you in the direction of what you want, then the motivation will come. But if you're finding day in and day out that you are unmotivated, it's because you've been focusing on the wrong shit. Lack of motivation, much like procrastination, much like burnout, is because you're focusing on the wrong shit. But if you are focused on what is for you, then the motivation will be there. Thank you for the heart showers. Mommy, one of my favorite mantras is I always get what I want or better. My success is inevitable. I say that to myself all the time. I say it all the time. I stopped second guessing and overanalyzing my decisions because I trust that I'm always being guided and supported. And I trust that what's for me is going to come. And I trust that nothing that is for me will be missed. And anything that was missed was not for me. So I'm not worried about making the wrong decision. I know that whenever I honor my intuition, I always get what I want or I get what I need. But my success is inevitable. Shit is coming and working out for me always. That's something I have to believe. That's something I have to practice thinking in order to keep going when shit is not looking exactly the way I thought it was going to look. And I offer that to you. Hey, Claudia. Yes. That is my favorite mantra. I always get what I want or better. My success is inevitable. When I believe that, I give myself permission to make mistakes because I know that I get to bounce back, I get to course correct, and I know that what is meant for me is great and is coming. If I go after something that doesn't work out, I'm like, all right, cool, something better must be coming because my success is inevitable. Yeah, that's another piece to surrender. Surrender is deciding that you're going to get what you want or better no matter what. So you don't have to stress about what happens in the middle. You don't have to stress about the in between and each individual step because you know something got you. You know you're taken care of. You know that something will fill in the gaps. You know as long as you show up and do your work, things are going to be taken care of. That's a really big piece of surrender. Just wanted to bring it back to the topic. By the way, speaking of surrender, sometimes surrender looks like wearing a damn bikini top because you didn't have the energy to put on a real bra. Okay? Surrender. I surrendered the need to show up a certain way for y'all. Y'all were going to get what you get. Okay? That was one of my ways to surrender today. I wore this damn bikini top and I said, y'all going to live. You're going to be just fine. So tell me what you're thinking. What are your thoughts about surrender or about what I've been talking about so far? Thoughts, questions, and don't forget to share this with somebody who needs it because surrender can be a very tricky and triggering topic for people. So surrender is just one topic that I've had to really work through and be very intentional around for a while. Because like I said, I am a recovering control freak. I have a lot of things that get in my way, and I have a very anxious mind that, like an unsupervised toddler, will run around and do whatever unless I give it something better to do. And so I've had to think through surrender. I've had to think through approval addiction. I've had to think through burnout prevention and how to make myself burnout proof and shame proof so I can focus on the work I'm here to do. And I break down all of those concepts in Purpose-Driven Powerhouse, which is my training bundle to help overwhelmed change makers get out of their head and into aligned action. So if you like how I talk about this and you like how I break this down, I would suggest that you DM me after this for details on either the self-study option or a little bit of guided support through that. It is Purpose-Driven Powerhouse is my training series that I designed to help you go all in on the goals that you convince yourself are unachievable because of all the mind chatter and mind drama you had going on. See, I just feel like I have to keep telling myself not to listen to people saying that you should surrender or suffer to survive. That's funny. Yeah. I mean, a big piece of staying focused and staying intentional is making the voice of your inner mentor and your intuition louder and more prominent than the voice of your inner critic and the voice of the people you're trying to impress. So if you practice shutting out the external noise, if you practice listening in for what you sound like, then you can find your voice and use it more often to create what you want. But if you are still allowing other people to speak into and speak over your life, especially if they're not going in the direction you want to be going in, then you hustling backwards. How do you let go of trying to help everyone or taking everyone with you on your journey? Well, I have a couple thoughts on that. It's important to identify the story you tell yourself about needing to save everyone. When did you decide that it was your job to save everyone? Right? You can't save people that don't want to be saved. And if you keep trying, you're going to burn yourself the fuck out. It's of highest service to focus your energy on the people that want what you have to offer, are ready for what you have to offer, and are asking for what you have to offer. And then because you are a leader, you can allow everyone else to be elevated by your example, but you cannot force these learnings on people that are not ready to learn it. You have to let people be elevated by your example. If they are ready, then watching you walk your talk will be enough for them to do what they need to do. Watching you model what the work looks like will be enough for them to want to do the work. But trying to shove the work down their throats is ignoring the fact that we all have our own cosmic curriculum and we all need to learn shit at our own pace. You have to give people the dignity of their process. You have to give people the dignity of natural consequences. I can't want your healing more than you do. But when you want this healing as much as I did, you're going to do what it took to get there. Thank you for the hearts. Now, if you're trying to learn how to walk your talk and how to truly model this transformational leadership so that people can be elevated by your energy and your example, Purpose-Driven Powerhouse is a really great place to start. You said you're ready for your therapy? Hey girl. Hey girl, hey. And just a reminder, I use solution-focused brief therapy techniques in my coaching, but I am a coach, not a therapist. So if you're looking for someone to make sense of how you got to where you are, therapy may be a beautiful place. If you are trying to bridge the gap between where you are now and where you're going, holla at your girl, either through Purpose-Driven Powerhouse or through private coaching. I wanted to make a very key distinction. I've been trying to figure out where you best fit into my empire plan, and that is it. You speaking the philosophy of the next practice journey into existence. Hey. If you're trying to figure out where I fit in you building your empire, it might be a great idea for you to start with Purpose-Driven Powerhouse. That is a self-study option. You do the trainings, you answer some questions, do some self-discovery prompts, all that shit. And when you feel ready to get a real kick in the ass, you holla at your girl. And we can do some private coaching there. But you get lifetime access to these training videos so that you can be elevated by the energy of the training and the content. So you get to binge and listen to it as many times as you need to, take notes as many times as you need to, do the assignments and the homework as many times as you need to get into the energy of a focused, dynamic change maker. Yes, 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 yes. I don't know what my child is doing out there. It sounds like he's throwing something at a wall. Lord, what is happening? Anyway. This is how we build the future, with this excellence of thought right here. Oh, thank you, boo. Please feel free to share this with someone who needs it. Sharing is caring. All right, family. What questions do we have or thoughts? Biggest takeaways. Thank you for the hearts. What are your biggest takeaways from today? I know that I was all over the place with what I was talking about, but what has been your biggest takeaway from today's session? These days, I am so turned off by like lots and lots and lots of Facebook groups. So I want to know what these Facebook groups are about. There's a lot of Facebook groups that are just a bunch of people just spewing, but not adding real value. And I don't have the bandwidth for it. But yes, give people permission to go through their process. Everyone has their own cosmic curriculum. I cannot force you to learn your lesson until you're ready to learn your lesson. If you like the way I teach and the way I break this down, I invite you to join Purpose-Driven Powerhouse. If you want something a little more hands-on than the training series and you really want access to me, fullest level of insight, support, accountability, then private coaching would probably be your best bet. You can go to bit.ly/clarityisdelicious to book your consultation with me. I think I pretty much kept talking about my biggest takeaway. Yes. Feel free to drop more, girl. Let me know. Let the people know. Oh, we got like 7 minutes left. This time has flown, honey. Looking back through these questions, I think I got everything. Well, it appears there are no more questions. So thank you very much for listening and watching and staying present and working with me through the rambling. Let's see. It was a letting go of control and not feeling the need to... Girl, yes. Your need to control everything is exactly what makes you feel out of control. Okay, question. What's your question, Michelle? Leading by example, setting high expectations that are not met and result in me doing more work. I see a question mark. I'm not clear on what you're asking. Leading by example, setting high expectations that are not met and result in me doing more work. I'm going to fill in the gap. I'm not certain if this is what you're asking, but what I'm thinking is it's really hard for other people to step up to the plate if you won't step off. So sometimes we have to trust people, trust that people are equipped, trust that people have what it takes to figure it out in the same way that you figured it out, and then be willing to let go of the result. If you feel like it is your job to control everything and that everything needs to be taken care of by you, then you will end up being the one that takes on everything. And we also have to give people grace and permission to make mistakes. If we don't make it safe for people to make any mistakes, they're not going to take any steps. In the same way, you don't feel safe taking the next step unless you know you have permission to make mistakes. If you feel like you have to do everything perfectly, you won't do anything. And that's similar to when you are giving these assignments to other people. If they feel like they have to do everything perfectly, they won't do anything. But if they know that you've already built a reputation of taking care of everything perfectly, they're going to go ahead and let you do it. I hope that answers your question. Oh, thank you for the heart showers. I guess it did, girl. Stop. Ooh, stop what, girl? Nasir is really singing in the back. My feelings, I'm red. I mean, this delay kills me. Thank you. Okay, cool. You are very welcome. I hear Nasir singing. I think he is a little bit over being able to hear my voice but not see me since he's in another room. Thank you very much for showing up and for being here. Please share this with someone that needs it. If you like the way I break this down and you are ready to take this further, Purpose-Driven Powerhouse is my first recommendation. If you want a little more hand-holding and support, then go to bit.ly/clarityisdelicious so we can talk about private coaching options together. Okay? Okay. Have a delicious week on purpose. I will see you next Tuesday at 6 as per usual. Ciao, ciao.